We are talking the movie Defective, written and directed by Rhett Everson. Now this is a science fiction action movie at its heart, but it does try to be somewhat more ambitious than your more regular kind of straight to VOD fare. This one actually has something to say, or at least it tries to. So the story takes place in a kind of a near future where this particular American state has these kind of, I guess you would call them cyborg policemen, where we have these kind of guys just having kind of mech suits that have been augmented, shall we say, and are the peacekeepers of this particular state. And you know, we hear that there's obviously sort of technology has grown at this point in the future and stuff like that, and there are people for it and people against it, and we do have this kind of a bit of social commentary here about the kind of the pros and cons of what this kind of future might look like, and we hear various kind of like news reports with arguments from both sides. So I do appreciate the attempt to be, you know, have kind of an element of both sides, and that was what I thought was quite good. And I have to say the world here is somewhat well realised for a kind of a low budget VOD movie. I thought it was quite, you know, quite a good attempt at having a somewhat realistic and believable future that obviously, you know, is this kind of big brother state ultimately, where people maybe feel more subjected, but it's, you know, maybe one possible future that, you know, we may fear that is on the horizon, who knows. So the actual world building here was quite good. I've got to say, I did kind of love the designs of these kind of like these cyber police, I guess you would call them. They are kind of a cross between Chappie and RoboCop, I would say. So that was sort of quite good. I have to say the actual, on the technical side of things here, I feel that the camera work was all very good. The kind of like the direction here was ultimately fairly good in regards to some of the action sequences. It was actually a lot more brutal than I was expecting. And you can kind of make comparisons to RoboCop and the kind of these flashes of ultra-violence that kind of we see on screen here, and some very kind of like brutal death scenes. So don't be expecting this to be a kind of light and fluffy cyborg cop and things like that. It's pretty, you know, it is fairly violent. However, I have to say that I have some issues with this movie. Let's talk about the casting first of all, because this is the thing that really struck me. For one thing, our lead hero. Now the story has this basically this kind of this brother and sister on the run from this kind of like this police state basically, and they kind of team up with these kind of rebels ultimately to try and sort of take down the man or whatever. And our main character is this kind of like this 40-year-old middle-aged guy who looks like your dad. And I always thought that seems really weird casting for a kind of a action leading man. He simply does not look like he would be a leading man. So I did a bit of researching. Turns out he is involved in casting this movie itself and is actually a producer. I thought, oh, it all makes sense here. He is horribly miscast. He is, I'm sad to say, Colin, you're not leading man material in regards to an action movie film, and not the best actor either, I have to say. So the casting with him was a problem, but it doesn't stop there. We also have budget Chris Pratt here, who is kind of this kind of ally this gentleman makes later in the film, and he is channeling Chris Pratt so badly, and it's by design rather than accident, I will say. And then we have these two female characters. He has his sister, which was actually quite well played. She was quite a good actress. But there's these two other kind of dark-haired women that look exactly the same. They're not related, but they look exactly the same. So they look so similar, you don't know which one is which. So that I would have, and they even have the same haircut, just a ponytail. So it's really confusing about which one you're looking at. They look so similar. So I've got to say the casting here was fairly bad, to be honest with you. The acting is a mixed bag in general. Like I said, I think the sister is okay, and budget Chris Pratt doesn't do a bad job, but he just plays budget Chris Pratt. And but there are some kind of like some horrible performances as well, unfortunately. So the acting wasn't the best, and no, as well as the writing, the problem I had, I found some writing. Although the world building was quite good, some of the writing was quite poor as well. I really struggled to understand people's motivations about what it is they were trying to get out of this, and their point of views were really not very well well put across in this film. And this film is a fairly long film, to be honest with you, so it should have been able to accomplish this. But I never really got the true sense of where a lot of the characters were coming from, and they just seemed to be, you know, thrown in these situations because the plot demanded it, rather than kind of having sort of organic reasons for kind of being there, and you know, motivations that you can kind of like really kind of follow. So that was a problem. And the whole sort of cyborg thing, I never really got. I never really got what they were actually supposed to be doing and why they were any better than kind of just regular policemen, because they seem to be pretty ineffective, and that's what this movie should have been called, ineffective. The bad guy ones just seem to be taken down like this, and really don't have any more threat than a regular human, to be honest with you. So the ultimate threat of these robotic cyborg creations seem to be null and void, and you know, they just seem to have a chip implanted to them, and we're never really told really what it is that this does for them. And you know, are they kind of cybernetically enhanced as well? It's never really kind of explained, I didn't feel. So I never really understood. I mean, I thought they were robots, first of all, to be honest with you, but they're not. They're kind of like these people who does this, and it's never really kind of like explained enough, I don't feel, to make it a compelling story. So the writing is pretty bad, I've got to say, with the exception of maybe some of the well-being and some of the ambition that this movie has. So the character stuff, unfortunately, does suffer as a result. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, because I do feel it does have some good elements. I think the effects here, very low budget film, pretty damn good. Some of the action sequences were pretty damn good, although there is some horrible, and I mean horrible, hand-to-hand fight choreography here. Oh yeah. But when we see the gunplay and stuff like that, I thought the gun stuff was okay, but hand-to-hand, no. Not so good. But it's just a real bit of a mixed bag. I feel this movie does have the potential, and I like the film that it has a bit of ambition and tries to have a little bit of kind of social commentary in it as well. I thought that was all quite good, but it unfortunately just doesn't fit as a cohesive movie. And because it's such a mess, it becomes quite dull, because you simply do not care about the characters, and they just seem so horribly miscast. Budget kind of Chris Pratt looks like he's, you know, playing Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy. Our leading man just kind of like grumbles, doesn't seem to emote at all, and is horribly miscast. And you know, unfortunately, it doesn't get much better from there, to be quite honest with you. So overall, I will give this movie a 5 out of 10, because I do think it has some good elements in it that they simply just weren't expanded upon. So 5 out of 10 for me. Have you seen Defective? What did you think of it? Was it effective or was it ineffective? Leave me a comment, and I shall look forward to you next time. Bye for now.